And I would now like to turn it over to our first presenter, who is Al Voorhees, and he will be giving us expectations for area directors. Al. You're on mute, Al.
I got muted and then unmuted. Somebody's trying to compete with me here, I think. I've got the control. No problem, no problem. We have a great audience out here. It's so wonderful to hear from you all and to hear about your escapades and things. I was the district director about 20 years ago, and I've been a Toastmaster about 35 years or so. So I really enjoy Toastmasters. I think one fun fact about me is I spent 3 years overseas with my company, and most of that time was in Egypt and Pakistan. Very enjoyable time over there. Just love Pakistani food. There's just nothing better than Pakistani food, I must say. So let me begin. And let's see, host has disabled my participant sharing. So if you would enable that, please, I'll begin with the slideshow I've got planned. But welcome to this training, area directors. Area directors elect. This is the most fun leadership position you can imagine, the area director. It really is, by consensus, I think hands down, the most fun position that we have in district leadership. And you will enjoy being an area director immensely. There are things you'll discover that'll be amazing to you. At the same time, there's a few things you'll want to avoid. There's some pitfalls out there, and we're going to help you navigate those in this session. There, I think I got to my session. And we'll get this thing going. There we go. Hopefully that's available for you to see. Area director training. Now, first of all, there's a couple of items I want to draw your attention to. If you have this screen that shows at the bottom right bar there on the Zoom screen, there's a reactions location, and there's a plus sign there. That means when you hit it, it expands and gives you a choice of a couple of different hands you can hold up. So I'd like to use that in our session today, to use the mechanical hands if you have those. If you don't have them, fine, just use your regular hand and hold it up there. The best way probably to handle this session, we won't have a lot of times when you will be communicating verbally, but if you choose to, especially at the end of the session, use the spacebar tab to unmute yourself, and then as soon as you let up on it, you'll be muted again. It's really convenient to use. You can practice now seeing how it will change the status of your mute and unmute condition. So let's see. So we'll try to handle some questions at the end of the session as much as we have time for. So let's move on here. Our general session objectives are these: to describe the area director responsibilities per the District Leadership Handbook, describe the Distinguished Area Program goals, describe 2 ways the area directors serve their clubs. You'll be able to describe successful area director leadership, and you'll be able to describe specific area director responsibilities. I'll give you that list so you have it for reference. And then describe 2 key characteristics of a team. We're going to be getting into that as well. So let's begin here. Here's some basics. Here's your area council. You are the head of the area council. You're the area director. And you may have an assistant area director, program quality, or in the area of club growth. and a secretary. The reason I show you these is because these are the official positions allowed by Toastmasters International. You may or may not have some of those, but you will have the club presidents, club vice presidents of education, and club vice presidents of membership. Those top 3 club officers comprise your area council. So that's really important. Here's the area purpose in general, just to get you acclimated a bit here. Each club fulfill its responsibilities to its members and become a distinguished club. This is straight from TI in their words. Promote the benefits of membership in Toastmasters clubs. Help the organization of new clubs. Your division director will get in touch with you about this. Facilitate the training of club officers. Did you know you could do this? This is real interesting because, let me take a moment to amplify this. Let's say, you know, you need 4, you're supposed to have 4 officers trained for your club. Well, let's say the club training is passed, the official training, and 2 of your clubs in your area come to you and say, hey, we've only got 3 officers trained. Can you help us get the 4th trained? And so you say, sure, I can help you with that. No problem. I will talk to my division director and we'll make that happen, because you can do that. You're allowed to help with the training of those club officers. And I think the district will be happy to arrange that as well with you. Another goal, encourage clubs to undertake efforts that create greater community awareness of Toastmasters and make Toastmasters available to more people. Good PR there, right there. That's Rick's field. So talk to him. Oversee and conduct quality area speech contests. Okay, we know that. Now, this is a slide for us geeks, I must admit. We're all different in our leadership style and so forth, and whether we have goals specifically or not, that varies quite a bit, I've found out. You know, thanks to Pathways, I've learned there's a lot of different leadership styles that I really wasn't aware of. But I know my style. I like to know what the goals are, what's the framework of this whole area director role. So here is the Distinguished Area Program. If you want to be distinguished next year, you can see there the distinguished condition. You need 50% of your clubs distinguished. Clubs, okay? In the center column there, it says 50%. So let's say you have 4 clubs in your area. So that means 2 of those clubs need to be distinguished. And your club base is the number of clubs you have at the beginning of the year, July 1. You also need a number of new clubs in the far right column. Well, that's 0. Whoa, that sounds easy, doesn't it? Well, it is, unless you lose a club. If you lose one, then you're really in a scrambling mode to make that become a 0 again in a net overall number. So anyway, these are the requirements for the various levels. And at the bottom, you can hopefully see, without all these bars, that 75% of your club visit reports are due by November 30th, and March something, I think, is the one that's covered up. Oh, May 31st, sorry. And so if you have 4 clubs, then you need to get 3 of those club visit reports in by those dates, November 30th and May 31. So that's a little paperwork you need to be doing. Those are sent in by you to Toastmasters International, and they also get sent to the district as well. And additionally, your area must have more than 3 clubs to qualify. And of course, all the areas have been designed to have that, so that should not be an issue at all. So now we come to a fun part here. We are going to have a surprise for you. We are going to conduct a Toastmaster Idol program, and that will be something you'll be enjoying here. If I can move this up here, I can't quite. Yes, yes. Wonderful. Terrific. I know you're applauding. We're going to have a show here for you today, and you're going to be part of it. This will be a trial run. And in this show, the lucky area director-elect will get the chance to participate as the sole participant in this Toastmaster Idol preview. So we hope to make that happen. To make that happen, we have a esteemed panel of judges here. As you can see on your left, we have Stephanie Schrader as a judge. We have Rick Chandler as another judge. And we have Christy Prophet. Now, the next person in line is not a judge, but I had to give a shout out to Dr. Mark Johnson of Division S. He has been a terrific treasure for us in Toastmasters. He's helped us with every train the trainer session in the last few years, and he is a professional trainer as well as a professor at Pitt State. And we've really appreciated his efforts for us in Toastmasters here. So that's a wonderful, wonderful thing he's done. I wanted to give him a shout out there. So let's see what we got here. And Clarice Maceberg is helping me in the background. She's going to be in the background and help us select this person that's going to be our contestant. In fact, that contestant, let me say again, it's one of you Toastmasters out there who are area directors elect. So let me kind of stop this sharing so we can enter another mode here. And we have a lot of things that our Zoom master needs to perform here. So we're going to let Terry Ann work her magic here a little bit too. So just to reiterate then, Clarice Maceberg, who is past district director, will select the area director-elect to participate in our contest today, in our show. And she will select among all the volunteers, which will be any or all of the area directors-elect. Here's the game scenario. Each of the area directors-elect, okay, and Terry Ann's coming up with the needed information here. You might have to adjust. Yeah, you can put a hand on this panel here and move it over so you can see it. But the scenario is each area director-elect, imagine you are the assistant to the area director, Sam. You are accompanying area director Sam to a club meeting, which you both have just witnessed. Area director Sam has a 2-minute window to make his presentation at the end of that club meeting. Suddenly, he's urgently called away. And so he says his notes and says, "You can do this. Substitute for me for this 2-minute speech. Thank you." And he exits the room. So there you are. You've got to come up with a speech, that 2-minute speech he was thinking about. And you don't have too much time to do it. So area directors elect to be considered a volunteer for this Toastmaster Idol event. Raise your hand now. Do I see a mechanical hand? Okay. I will expect a chat message here from Clarice to me, and she says Cheryl Reynolds is our contestant for today. Cheryl, congratulations. All right. I saw that hand go up too, so that's wonderful. Excellent. All right.
Mind.
So here's what we're going to do. You've seen the notes. Welcome to our contestant, and let's see what else we have to cover here. I gather you saw the notes, Cheryl, that were shown on the screen.
I saw them. Can I see them again? If I have to speak to them, will I be able to see them again?
They're coming up right now. These are the notes from the area director that just left the room. Okay, now to handle the timing for this, we are going to abbreviate the timing sequence here, and Joanne Monroe will be our timer, and we'll just have a bell or a sound or something at 1 minute 30 seconds, okay, for this 1 to 2 minute speech. So we won't go through all the usual, but she will make a bell. You'll hear a bell or another sound at 1 minute 30 seconds, just to keep you in the range of 1 to 2 minutes. Now you have 1 minute to gather your thoughts, then begin your presentation. So judges, while you're gathering your thoughts, let me ask the judges, Christy, Rick, and Stephanie, are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, I hope they're ready. Excellent, excellent. So contestant, you may begin speaking at any time you're ready.
Well, thank you for letting me join your meeting today and to observe. I saw a great meeting. I saw a fast-paced meeting, and I saw a well-organized meeting. Time was a mixed bag for you today. You started a little late, and maybe we could work on starting on time next time, but you're going to end on time, so it was a mixed bag, and that's a good thing that you were able to achieve that ending time. It's very important in a lot of clubs that they start and end on time for the purposes of people who have other commitments, especially corporate clubs. You had a guest today, and it's always exciting to have a guest. One of the things that you might want to think about is, how do we recognize that guest immediately and make sure that guest is incorporated into your meeting and feels welcome and ready to come back again. You had a great meeting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do from here, and I'm looking forward to being a guest in your meeting again. Thank you.
All right, thank you, welcome, thank you, thank you. All right, appreciate your input there, Cheryl. Thank you so much. And we'll be coming back to your presentation a little bit later.
Good, thank you.
And we'll use it to illustrate a few things as well. Now let me get hooked up again with my program. And let's see here. Oh. Well, we're hooked up, so blank that out for a moment. Right now, I'd like to share with you 2 pages out of the District Leadership Handbook, okay? I didn't put them on the screen. I don't want them there, but just so you know, there are 2 pages like this. Here's one of them, and I've highlighted some things. Here's another one about how to be an area director. So if you haven't seen a District Leadership Handbook before, and I do have one just sitting here. So if you haven't seen this District Leadership Handbook before, now you have, and you can download it from Toastmasters International and have the whole thing right there. And you should do this, because it'll tell you everything about the district that Toastmasters International wants you to know. So it's a great resource to have, and I highly recommend that you use it. Okay, so let me read you a few of the highlighted things I wanted to mention. There's only 2 pages, so it's not a lot of material. And if you think about Toastmaster International responsibility to cover the whole world, you know, with instructions for area directors in every culture and every country we're in, that's quite an accomplishment. So they've facilitated that by making it a little bit simple here. So the first line says, as area directors, you serve as the direct liaison between the district and the clubs. So you are the face of Toastmasters district to all the clubs. You're the happy face, right? You're the goodwill ambassador. So the impression the clubs get of the district is what you present. So that's significant. And another sentence in here, it is important that area directors have the support they need to serve the clubs. The success of the district depends on it. Division directors, are you listening up here? I hope you are, because you are that support. And I hope the area directors call you whenever they need it, because you are that support and they need it. They have a big job ahead of them. One of your only jobs as division director is to support them. So let's see a little more action in that area. Here's a paragraph under guidance for the area directors. It says, as area director, you are responsible for leading your area by serving the needs of the clubs. So how do you serve the needs of the clubs? Well, you listen. What are they saying? You listen to the club officers and saying, what do you need? What are you guys working on? Okay, so you serve their needs. You're there for them. They are not there for you. So it's all about them. We need to keep that in mind. The area director is the area council chair and holds at least 2 area council meetings each year according to this document. Another statement, it says area director club visits. Make at least 2 area director visits per club per year. Submit the area director club visit report online. Another requirement. Area progress. The area director participates in the area director training provided by the district. All right, you're there already. And I hear there may be more coming. The area director reports regularly to the division director on area progress. And one more thing they reiterate, the area director, you are responsible for coordinating area speech contests. So I think some very simple requirements out of that district leadership handbook for you. Now let's get back to my sharing and see if I can make that happen here. Okay, we can do that. We'll get past our judges here and get rolling down the road to 2 ways you serve the club. So what are the 2 ways you serve the club? Well, if you were listening closely to those descriptions in the manual, you know that one of those, the first one we talked about was you're the district's liaison to all club members. And I like to think of it as like a goodwill ambassador. You know, any goodwill ambassador from this country to another country applauds what the other country is doing in terms of the values of our country, for example. So you applaud what they are doing well. Now, this is interesting because, let's see, I didn't write down the name of our area director who volunteered. Who was that?
Cheryl Reynolds.
Cheryl, thank you. Well, Cheryl, bless your heart. You're just like so many Toastmasters. What the club should be hearing is only good stuff. Okay, just the good stuff. But, you know, hey, we're all Toastmasters. We've drunk the Kool-Aid so long that, man, all we want to do is evaluate, right? We evaluate everything, everybody. On the TV, we look at that TV and say, okay, man, how about a little vocal variety there in that speech you're giving? Or I look at Channel 9, ABC rather, and there's their newscaster, and I think, you know, David Muir, come on, man, lighten up a little bit, or give us some vocal variety. I'm doing this. I know everybody does it. We can't help it. We count Oz and we do all kinds of things because we're trained to think that way in Toastmasters. So being an evaluator is just, it's what we do. But in this case, you're not a member of that club that you visit necessarily. And even if you are a member, you want to represent the district. And so the way to do that as a goodwill ambassador is just to say the good stuff, like Cheryl did. She's covered the good stuff, and you've got to avoid the comments like a general evaluator makes it in a meeting. They probably have their own general evaluator doing that. So what you want to do is just state the good things, Cheryl, and then stop. And the rest of your message will be something like, my position is area director. I bring you greetings from Joanne Monroe, our district director, and all of the team at the district. And we want to share with you what's available from the district, what you can do, what the district will make available, and other information that you may be able to use. And so you're the ambassador. You tell them what's available from the district, like speech contest. You want to get involved in a speech contest. Do you want to help with that speech contest or be a speaker? We have training coming up, club officer training, and you go through some of those things that the district does. So in general, you communicate, and you're the goodwill ambassador for the district. So you want to keep that positive, and then you end with, I'm also here to meet with the club officer team after the meeting and to find out what their needs are and see if I can help them. Okay, so that kind of segues into part number 2, where you meet with the club officer team. At least, hopefully, the 3 area council members, the president, VP Ed, and vice president of membership. This is your mini team that you have with every club. So these are the 2 ways you serve the club. It's basically a goodwill ambassador when it comes to the whole club, and then you work with the council members that you have with that club. And of course, here's where you open your ears and you say, hey, what are you guys working on? What are you working on? Are you working on membership? Are you working on more pathways participation? And then you write those things down so you know what their needs are, because you're here to help them and not vice versa, okay? So that's real important. We want to serve the club like the district leadership handbook said. And the leadership style or type, really, that we employ in general is called servant leadership. You know, Andre Red's going to give you a great talk on this at the end of the training today. You won't want to miss it. Servant leadership is our leadership type. We are there to serve others. I noticed a lot of people said they were in the military. Well, my gosh, they have a different style of leadership altogether. It's top down. It's I'll tell you what to do and you go do it. Basically, it's not too democratic. You don't sit around and say, well, let's see, what should we do to overcome the enemy on that hill over there? Let's have your opinions. You know, it doesn't work that way. So they have a leadership style that works for them. But in Toastmasters, if you're really used to that, and I know we have a lot of military, bless their hearts, in Toastmasters, you're going to have to modify your leadership style just a little bit, okay? And you're going to be more like a democratic leader, like an affiliative type of leader, that kind of a style to make that happen. So it's real interesting, and it'll be maybe a challenge for some more than others. Anyway, real interesting stuff, really. I love leadership because you get thrown into this position like this and, hey, make it work, you know, make something happen. And so if you follow this attitude that I'm going with, then you'll avoid some pitfalls about that we typically fall into as leaders. You know, I think about a person last year, well, actually this current year. He was in the military too, And he came in late in the year and was going to be an area director. Well, he was, but he didn't get any training. And unfortunately, when we talked to him, he wasn't happy, really. He didn't recommend anyone being an area director because his experience just wasn't good. And I can imagine what the clubs felt as well. And that's because we didn't provide the adequate training that everyone needs to do a good job with area director. Because the style we bring, the messages we bring, and the way we help clubs is really not what somebody automatically assumes. We're not there to direct anybody to do anything. We're there to listen and to serve the needs of the clubs. And so to know the needs of the clubs, we have to listen. As area directors, we have to, what are you guys working on? How can I help? And of course, you can help. This brings up to my mind another situation where I was talking to an area director, not a month ago. And that's not the first time I've talked to him because he's our area director in one of my clubs. And I said something to him and he said, "Oh, I've been in Toastmasters for 2 years. 2 years. Last year I was a member and I decided that, hey, in order to advance in Toastmasters, to really excel, to be my best, and to, just advance my own skills and so forth, I needed to be an area director." So this year he was. And so I'm thinking on the one hand, wow, this is just amazing. Who decides in their first year of being a Toastmaster, they want to be an area director? I'd never heard of this before. I think it took me 4, 5, 6 years before I figured that out. So it was real interesting. I admire the guy for his drive because I know he's going to be great. I know he's adaptable. I know he'll succeed in this, but look at the other side of the coin here. He's really coming into a club to effectively be a mentor to that club. That's really what you are as an area director. You're a mentor there. You're there to help when you can and on their terms, not yours. So I'm thinking, wow, this guy has how many years experience? 1. And he's going to meet with 3 of his area council members. And let's say they have 3 years experience in Toastmasters each. Well, that's 9 years to his 1. Wow, that is some kind of odds. So how is he going to help them? Well, of course, the answer is he can figure it out. If he has an area council meeting with the other clubs involved, what he has to do, I would suggest, is be a facilitator. Hey, let them, share the ideas back and forth. If you're interested in club growth or one club has an issue with that, then let them all share what the solutions could be to those club growth problems. So you act as a facilitator. You can make it work. It's just up to you. You're the leader, but wow, that's a real challenge for you to, at 1 year, decide you can do this job because you're really being a mentor to that club. But I thought that was just cool. Okay, let's move on to area director club visits, number 1. And we suggest, and Toastmasters International also suggests, you make the first visit a meet and greet only. And this is very cool. Real effective. I was area director 5 years ago, my second time as area director. And this is what I did. I met with all the clubs in July. And it was great because I just go in there, I say, hi, I just want to meet and greet everybody. And, I don't have any forms to fill out. I don't have, my form to fill out the report. And like I'm in there just to, like a cop is, like a Toastmaster police to make sure they're doing their job. Because we give that impression sometimes and it's really not positive. So this helps tremendously in that regard. It establishes you as really being interested in those leaders and their club. So you want to make an appointment for that. Ask for a club success plan copy. Maybe they did one last year. That would help you understand their club and what they're working on. You always ask for 1 to 2 minutes to address the club at the end of the meeting for this speech that you want to give as the ambassador, and tell the club what's going on and what you're doing as an area director. And then you ask to meet with the club officers after the meeting. You reiterate that because that's the second part of your job. First part, be ambassador. Second part, work with the club officer team, because they're the ones that determine which direction that club is going and what they're going to work on and all that sort of thing. You don't want to be in the middle of that. You want to be a supporter and facilitator for their goals. So an official club visit, it's very similar, bunch of list of things to do. But what I want to point out here is this is where you have your club visit report that you have to fill out. So you bring that along. And hopefully, maybe you've even filled part of it out, perhaps, or sent it to the other members of the area council already. And so they have that in front of them. But a key thing is to ask for officer input to this area director report. So I've illustrated here the first half a page of that area director report, and it's a 4-page report. How many people have seen this report? Can you raise a hand if you've seen that? Oh, I wish I had I guess I don't have a gallery view here. Oh, well, I see a few hands going up. Okay, good. Some have seen this report. Well, one reason I show it to you is because I must admit, nowhere on this report does it say to involve the club officers, get their input. It just says, area director, you fill this out, and so on. And there's no way in the world you could answer all these questions with your own 2 eyes and sitting in 1 or 2 meetings. It's just not possible. So I really would wish they would include wording like, receive input from the area council team members, the club officers that are present there. And this is what you do when you meet with them after the meeting, is get their input. Now, this doesn't always happen. And I pointed this out to one area director who was area director for my club, and there's all these sections throughout. There's 6 different sections. It's titled First Impressions. That's the first section. Oops, let me back up here. First Impressions is the first one. Now, in every section, there are 6 of them. At the bottom right is a little blue box, and it says, what can the district and I do to help the club improve? And so I got this report filled out from our area director, and he said, nothing mentioned in that box, nothing mentioned. Well, of course, there's nothing mentioned. He didn't meet with us. He didn't ask us, for our input. So, and I told him that's not acceptable. And next time I want you to do a better job and meet with us, because he can't possibly know all the answers to this without consulting with the club officers. And besides, a lot of these clubs are great clubs. They, just as an example, 5 years ago when I was area director, one of my clubs was TGIF. Well, as many of you know, they're a 30, 40, 50 member club, just rocking and rolling all the time. They have a great officer team. I was their area director 20 years before that as well, and they were still the same, really a vibrant club. So I went in there 5 years ago And a few of the same people were there, but this club was the same. Great culture for the most part there at that club. And so basically I went through this area director report and I got their input from the officers on every one of these sections that were needed. And probably this first impressions is one that you don't really need their input so much, except in that box that what can the district and I do to help the club improve? Maybe their idea is better than the one you're thinking about. But anyway, that was just incredible. Now, one of the sections here, this is first impressions. One of them, let me grab this thing because I can't remember which one I wanted to illustrate, but one of the sections is achievement recognition. And this happened more than once in one of these sections, but achievement recognition, I said, well, I didn't see any recognition for educational achievement in your meeting today. And oh boy, they unloaded on me. They gave me a 5-minute dissertation on their whole program of achievement recognition. And this happened with another time too, when I asked them about something else. So man, this club was amazing. And so I could give them due recognition and understand their club operation much better with their input. So I really valued that. I presented more of a true picture of their club. And, you know, they're a proud club. They've got real accomplishments, and many clubs are that way. So if a district director or area director goes in there and writes up a report just from observing, you're just not going to observe everything. You won't do that club justice, and yet you'll be sending out a report that's saying, well, this is what that club is, and it won't be that way at all necessarily. So to do the club, to be fair with the club, be sure to get that club officer input. So that's real important for also maintaining some good relations with that club. And after you've got that report filled out, I send the club president a preliminary copy of that area director report for them to make comments, because maybe I misunderstood something or didn't state something right in the report, and I give them a chance to make comments on that. I send them the report and say, hey, I'm going to send this to International in a week. So please make some comments if you wish, and I'll take those into account. So just remember, you're a mentor for this club, not a reporter. That'll help go a long ways toward making you really a great area director and one that they value in that club. Now here's a list of area director responsibilities. I just listed a bunch of them for your later reference, really. And this is basically getting some data written down. You should know this data for your clubs, and division directors, I hope you ask them for this data, because if you don't, they probably won't collect it. And see, the leadership is from the top down. So the leadership begins with the division directors in terms of what the division council is able to accomplish, and ultimately what the area directors are able to accomplish as well. So they're just 14 items that will really help you to get to know your clubs individually and be able to take some action. Okay, now we're going to come back a little bit to that a little bit later, but right now, we're going to talk about teams a little bit. And what I'd like you to do is fill in the blanks here. Grab a piece of paper, blank paper, and on the top half of that piece of paper, make a tic-tac-toe board with lines spaced equally vertically and horizontally, because I'd like to see what kind of information you come up with in answering these questions here. And I'm going to literally take a picture of it with my camera when you do that. I hope you can raise a hand. Let's see. I guess I'll have to stop sharing. Terry Ann, I hope I can stop sharing and get out of this mode so I can get into the gallery mode. But anyway, let me know.
Click on stop share.
Okay, yeah. And then I'll be in the gallery mode. Is that available?
If you're not at the top of your screen,
Just choose it.
you can choose it, yes.
Okay, good. Well, I'll do that then. Let's go through this then. The best teams of which I have been a member. So you have 2 columns here. You can list 2 different teams. It doesn't matter what they are. Maybe one's a choir, one's a bowling team, one is, hey, any sports team you've been on, or a neighborhood improvement group, or any team. What are the best teams that you've been a member of? You can choose 2. I'd like you to list how often the team met and what common goals did the team have. Okay, so you've got the slides right there. I'll give you a few seconds to copy that. The columns on the left are the teams, names, team name, how often they met, 5 times a week, 2 times a week, twice a month, whatever it was, and what common goals did the team have. So let me just stop sharing so I can get to where I want to be here and see everybody. Oh, that's a little bit better. How can I get more people involved here? Oh, I see total non-video participants 24. Oh boy, you guys are gonna have to show up here. Okay. I see Rick is holding up his. Let me take a picture of that, Rick. Oh, he moved it. One more time, yeah. Okay, got that. Anybody else have one to show?
I want to see the tip of the spear, what teams they value.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. Okay.
Military and sports. That's my 2 teams, military and sports.
Okay, I need some information. Who's going to provide it? Where are the rest of the members here? Okay.
I just said, man.
Chad, I'm trying to step up here.
Cheryl's holding it up. Okay, Kiyomi is holding something up. Let me see. Okay, I got Kiyomi's, I think. All right. And I think I got Cheryl's. Yeah. Lori, do you have one there?
I grabbed the first piece of paper I could find, and it doesn't look like it's going to share too well.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let's see what we got here. The best teams. Okay, I think I got from one person a LD team, executive, was that county?
Al, that's me, that's Kiyomi. So I was part of the leadership development team in my organization, which I still am. And I was also the lead of a team of executive coaches.
Thank you, Kiyomi. And you met weekly? And you had the common goals of leadership development, and you list a couple more there. So that's excellent.
Organizational development, yep. Team building and team effectiveness.
So look at her frequency. She met weekly with that group, and they had common goals there. And with the other group she met with, Executive Coalition, I think she met monthly. And of course, they have common goals. It's pretty well known. And let's see what we got here. for another response. We have, and I'm sorry, let's see, who is this? One person put down my release. Is that right? Release team who met weekly. And they deliver time and accuracy.
Right.
Okay, Cheryl, that was yours?
Right. I am a
That's
IT.
military?
No, I'm an IT project manager.
Ah.
And I implement large IT projects that are nationally mandated by our organization, and they must go in on time. You can't go in a day early. You can't go in a day late. You cannot not go in. You must go in on time, or else you break communication for the entire country.
Okay.
So I have a large release team. It covers there's probably 50 people on my release team covering maybe a dozen different systems that have to integrate together at the same time. And it's a lot of hard work. And
awesome. So integration is your main goal there with those people. Okay, let's try another one here. That was a weekly scenario there.
Right. And then I had another one, but I don't think you got that one. And it was a sports one that, like Shed mentioned. So I don't know if I need to talk about that one or not.
Well, okay. Those are a couple of examples, and I wish I could haul up more on my screen, but what I get from those is that, yeah, somebody said, Cheryl, I love your background. Don't do that. Make us all hungry. The frequency was, there was nothing here less than a month, once a month, that I saw. And the important thing about that is, Toastmasters is one of my favorite teams, right? My club. And what does Toastmasters International say about that? Well, they say, in order to be a club, you have to meet once a month. That's the minimum. And they're pretty expert at this. And so, I know some very successful clubs that do meet once a month, but most of us meet a little bit more than that. So that's once a month is the minimum. So that's important. If you're going to have a team, it's got to meet at least once a month. And you have to have common goals as well. But if you don't have any common goals, how can you have a cohesive team that works together? So those are two real important facts about any team. I don't know of a team in the world that meets twice a year that calls itself a team. Now, Toastmasters says to you, area directors have area council meetings at least twice a year. Well, that's nice, but that doesn't make a team. You won't get to know those other people on your team, and they won't get to know you, much less have any interaction among themselves. So you have a decision to make, area directors. You have to decide, are you going to go for this big team of all of your area directors? Or maybe you'll settle for just working with each team of each club, those 3 people and you, that area council team, mini team for each club. It's kind of up to you, no matter what you do, this way or the other way, or something in between. But that's a challenge you have, just because you've got to meet often to have a team. So the people get to know each other, so there's some camaraderie, some sharing. Now, I did something strange. Well, it's not strange at all. But when I was this area director 5 years ago, for some reason, I don't know why, I decided the best way to serve this group was to have a monthly meeting. Now, I just made that decision out of the blue. And so I started having monthly meetings. I sent everybody a notice to join. Well, they all joined, amazingly enough. And we had enough meetings to where they were sharing what they wanted to accomplish. And it turned out they had common goals. Membership was a goal. Education was a goal. Improved education. So it turned out they had common goals. So I was able to facilitate their sharing. And so they were able to gain from those meetings. And we had monthly meetings all year. So for me, it worked out. I don't know what's going to happen in your situation. You're the leader. You get to decide what to do. So that's kind of fun.
This is Kiyomi. I have a question about what you just shared.
Okay.
So when you're talking about having these meetings, were you having individual club meetings, or were you asking those club officers to come together from all the different clubs in your area?
Well, when I had you mean the area director meeting, the area council meeting, by definition is basically you're going to be there and you send invitations to the top 3 officers in each club. That's your area council members. And actually others can join if they want to, but that's your area council officially. So that's what I did. I sent the message to those. We got together on a phone chat with free conference call and did it that way. Does that answer the question?
I need just a little bit more clarification. So I understand that the president, the VP of membership, and the VP of ed, but did you ask all of your area Toastmasters clubs to come into one meeting?
Yes.
Or did you meet with them individually? Okay. All right. Fantastic.
Everyone
Thank
was
you.
in one meeting, and fortunately it just worked out because of the common goals. It just worked out that everyone benefited that way.
I think that sounds like a great idea. And they can share their best practices, what's working, what's not, across the club.
This is the solution for the Toastmaster that has 1 year experience, because you're not going to help people too much with 1 year experience unless you can act as a facilitator and get that group together and you just facilitate. That's how you solve that problem, or at least best way I can think of.
Wonderful.
So,
thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And so you'll have to decide. And here's something else. If I can go back to my screen here. Did I quit that? Oh, yes. So move on from there. Now here's your challenge here, I think. One way you can approach this task of yours is for each of your clubs. You have 4 clubs there listed at the top. Establish your meet and greet meeting dates for each one. And the most important is when you do meet with them, be sure to meet with the officers. This is informal, but you meet with the officers and try to ascertain their club goals. Say, what are you guys working on? And so when you list these goals, one way to solve your problem is to see if some of these goals match. Do they all have the same goals? Are the 50% of their goals identical? If you have at least 50%, then you've got something to work with. Then you can probably make a success, imagine you could, out of a common meeting with all 4 club area council members. If they're totally divergent goals, say one club saying, oh, the only thing we're working on is pathways improvements, and another club says, well, the only thing we're working on is more members, then it just depends. You have to decide, but they may have divergent goals, but it's hard to see how clubs will have that divergent goal. But what's necessary for them to help each other and to be useful and to have a common purpose here is to have goals that are at least somewhat similar so they can help each other. Okay. Now what I heard from a couple of real interesting, I had some conversations with some area directors, and I guess I got a couple of minutes left here, but the conversation was asking them about their experience as a officer, district officer. And Clarice Maceberg and I are doing a podcast that she's driving here. And one of the questions we asked these outgoing, or actually active officers, what was the highlight of your year? And one person said, frustration. And I'm thinking, that's not a highlight to me, that's a low light. And but they said frustration. That was, so it took me a while to understand that, but that's what this person really thought. They had a difficult year and they were frustrated. Now, another person said frustration was one of the things they had to deal with. So we had basically 33% of our area directors saying frustration was just something that jumped out at them. They weren't expecting it. But I guess on reflection, I would say, if you know your goal is a mentor to this club, to every club in your area, how could you possibly say you were frustrated? I just don't understand that being a reaction from a mentor. Mentors help where they can. It's kind of that attitude. So I don't understand. I think they were just not trained adequately. We have a continual issue with training, getting all people trained. Sometimes they're not trained. But if we train properly, I think they wouldn't be saying they were frustrated in any way, because mentors aren't frustrated. They're just looking for opportunities to help others. So we're not trying to tell people what to do or tell clubs what to do. We're out there trying to mentor and help them. So here's a great goal for all of you.
Al, let's turn the clock.
Yep, time's up.
You can start wrapping it up, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a goal for you for next year if you choose to accept it. Your goal will be, if you consider yourself a mentor to your clubs, at the end of the year, have one of your area council members come up to you and say, thanks for mentoring our club. Thanks so much for your presence here today and your active participation next year, and great success to all of you.